Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Just Trying to Survive and Learn to Love Along the Way. This will be Part 15, Chapters 28 and 29. Chapter 28 of 2 a.m. Pains and Returns. The rest of the weekend passes much the same way. Izuku sleeps most of the time and spends the rest of it buried in his notebooks. He eats more than he did the first day, slowly regaining his appetite. Things have been getting better for him, so it's no surprise when he wakes up at 2 a.m. on Monday, leg and wrist throbbing. He knew there'd be backlash from how badly his wrist had ended up, but he didn't think it would be this bad. He eyes the limb as he holds it, frowning when he spots just how swollen it is. He lays in bed for a while, trying to fall back asleep before giving up entirely. He makes a quick stop in the washroom for some ibuprofen before limping slowly to the living room and settling down on the couch. He sits there in the dark for a while before growing tired of the silence, so he turns on the TV and sets the volume low, looking for something to distract him. The pain in his leg has subsided by the time Hisashi comes out and finds him on the couch. The man is frowning as he looks him over, and he looks tired. Sorry, did I wake you up?
Nah, it was radio. She pawed my face until I woke up, and she seemed worried, so I came out here to see what was going on.
Oh, that makes sense. He had spotted the cat a little while ago, staring at him from the corner of the room before she disappeared. It's nothing. You can go back to sleep, Zashi. The man eyes him wearily, eyes pausing on where he holds his wrist, before turning around. Instead of heading to his room, he heads to the washroom, and Izuku can hear him rummaging around in the cabinets before he returns, holding a roll of bandages in his hands. He turns on the lamp on the coffee table, before sitting next to Izuku. Let me see your hand. Izuku gives him his right hand without comment, turning his body towards Hisashi as he does. He grimaces as he grabs his hand and spots the inflammation. Hisashi starts gently massaging his hand, right below where his swelling starts, and moves his way upwards. It doesn't hurt like Izuku thought it would, instead bringing relief with a slight stinging sensation. They stay like that for a while, until Izuku relaxes, nearly falling asleep where he sits. Hisashi stops his motions and grabs the roll of bandages from where he'd put them, and he begins to wrap it tightly around his hand and wrist. What's this for? Zashi glances up in surprise. He must have thought that Izuku really was asleep.
This is a compression bandage. The pressure it puts on your hand and wrist should help reduce the swelling. If the pain doesn't stop, just let me know and we'll figure something else out.
Izuku just nods at the explanation, yawning. Hisashi is just finishing up when the front door opens quietly and Shouta walks in, home from patrol. He pauses at the sight of them on the couch, and Izuku gives him a tired smile as he walks over. He frowns when he sees what Hisashi is doing, but he doesn't say anything, just gives his husband's shoulder a light squeeze before heading towards their room, leaving the door open behind him.
All right, head back to bed so you can get a few more hours of sleep before school in the morning.
Zashi's voice is quiet, and Izuku heads back to his room. It takes no time at all to fall back asleep. Izuku wakes up a few hours later, still tired. His wrist is no longer throbbing, so he takes that as a win. A glance at the clock tells him that it is far later than when he usually wakes up for school, so he rushes through getting ready. He opts to leave the bandage on his wrist today to provide him a little extra support. He has no doubt that after last night, it will probably bother him later on in the day. Izuku opens his door and finds Hisashi there, already dressed in his hero costume, hand raised to knock.
Morning, listener. We thought we'd let you sleep in a little today.
Izuku smiles and nods his thanks at the man, before following him to the kitchen for a light breakfast. Walking is a lot easier today, but Izuku still sighs in relief when he sees that the elevator has been repaired. They make the drive in silence, no one willing to break the peace of a quiet morning. As soon as they make it to school, Izuku is heading to class, ready to get the day started, no matter the questions he would get about last week. When he gets to the classroom, he finds many of his friends there already, chatting excitedly about how their internships went. Ida is talking to Todoroki quietly at his desk, but they both give him a small smile when they see him. Uraraka comes over to his desk when he sits and starts chatting about how her internship went. No trace of the weirdness from the other week. He's glad that they've gotten over that strange bump in their relationship. Uraraka was one of his first friends since things with Bakugo went south, and he values how easy things are with her. She's just finishing a funny story about Shinso when the boy in question walks in and heads straight for them. Uraraka bids them goodbye and returns to Asui and asking about her internship. Shouta steps into the room, and it falls silent just as Shinso is taking his seat behind him. I've got a short announcement before we begin class today. Nezu wants to start doing parent-teacher interviews just like a normal high school. So those are happening tomorrow after classes. This is the information your parents will need. The man passes a stack of papers to the first in each row, and Izuku doesn't take one, just passes the forms back automatically. By lunchtime, the whole class is talking about parent-teacher night. They're asking each other questions about their parents, all excited to meet them. Hey, Midoriya, your mom is coming, right? It's Kaminari who asks, and their table turns towards him, eager to hear about his mom. It hurts his heart a little, but he can't blame Kaminari. None of them know the truth. No, she's not. Several people make sad noises at that, only stopping when Bakugo interrupts them. What? Why not, Deku? The old hag hasn't seen Auntie Inko in forever. Izuku flinches at the name of his mother. He still answers, though. Because she can't. Deku! Great. Bakugo is angry now at the lack of information. He's got his quirk active, little explosions going off in his hands to intimidate Izuku into answering. She's in jail! It's almost a yell when it comes out, and Izuku slaps a hand over his mouth in horror as everyone stares at him. Bakugo's got a look of surprise on his face, no trace of anger left. The only thought he has as he flees the cafeteria is that they all know now. They all know that something happened, and he knows that some of them are smart enough to figure it out. The ones that are won't tell the rest of them, but it's still way more people than Izuku wanted to know. So, you finally told someone? Izuku stops at the voice and turns to find Bakugo, a few feet behind him, hands shoved in his pockets. His face lacks its usual scowl, but it's pinched with something Izuku can't identify on him. It got really bad after this sports festival, so I ran away and called Aizawa-sensei for help. Bakugo has known about the abuse since the day it started. He had shown up to school with far more bruises than he had left with. Nobody said anything, and Bakugo's bullying only got worse after that. Good. Bakugo turns and leaves at that, leaving Izuku alone in the hallway, staring after him in confusion. Chapter 29 of Hiding and Rescues. Izuku hides for the rest of lunchtime, successfully avoiding his classmates. He shows up to hero studies early and finds All Might already present. Young Midoriya, just the boy I wanted to see. Great. Izuku stays silent, allowing All Might to continue. Aizawa told me you can't participate today, so I was hoping you'd give me a hand with this class. That is not at all what Izuku was expecting. What do you need help with? All Might smiles widely at that, pleased that Izuku is on board so far.
Well, I've planned some rescue training at Ground Gamma. Originally, it was a race to see who could rescue me first, but since you're out of commission, I was hoping they could rescue you. That way I can monitor what's happening a lot easier.
That's actually not a bad idea. Sounds like fun.
Perfect. You can go ahead and get changed into your gym uniform and head over to Ground Gamma. I will meet you there shortly.
Everyone else will probably be wearing their hero costumes. Izuku can't wait until his new one is finished. He worked on it this weekend, with Shouta and Hisashi, and the pros submitted it this morning for him. Izuku slowly makes his way over to Ground Gamma, curious on how the race will work. How big will the racing groups be? Will they just have to find him or bring him back to the start point? He guesses he'll find out soon enough. He spots All Might waiting at the entrance for him, and quickens his pace a little.
Now, the students will be broken up into 3 groups of 5 and 1 group of 4. The student who brings you back to the start point wins. They can take you from each other to give everyone a fair chance at winning.
This is going to be interesting. All Might holds up a small device and a piece of paper before continuing.
This is a tracking beacon, so the students have a way of finding you. And this is a copy of the team's roster. Now, you can go and hide anywhere in the facility. I must go fetch the class and explain the rules. See you soon, young Midoriya.
All Might leaps away, leaving him by himself. Izuku finds a place to hide quickly, not sure how long he has until the first group starts. He looks at the roster as he waits. The first to go is a team of 4, consisting of Ida, Ojiro, Ashido, and Sero. Izuku thinks Sero will probably win. His quirk is extremely useful for a terrain like this. The second team is Aoyama, Shoji, Jiro, Koda, and Hagakure. He wagers that Shoji will be the winner for this round. He's got the most fitting quirk out of all of them. The third team is Kirishima, Kaminari, Sato, Asawi, and Shinso. Izuku is a little unsure who the winner of this matchup will be. Most likely not Kaminari or Shinso, though. The last team makes Izuku pale a little. It consists of Uraraka, Bakugo, Todoroki, Tokuyami, and Yayorozu. The top students in the class, who have the best control over their quirks. Izuku has no idea who will win this one. The team makeups actually make a lot of sense. Everyone is on a team where they're matched pretty evenly with their opponents. Izuku snaps his head up when he hears an air horn go off. He assumes that means that the race has begun. It's not long before he hears the sound of running, and Ida comes around the corner heading straight for him. He's almost within arm's reach when tape wraps around Izuku, and he is wrenched up into the sky. Sero catches him and carries him under one arm while using his quirk with the other. Izuku can see Ida running below them, but he has no way of getting up there to grab him. It's no time at all before they're at the finish line, and Sero wins the race. He places Izuku gently on the ground and unwraps the tape that he had used to grab him. The others arrive and look exhausted from trying to catch up with Sero.
Good job, young Sero. We'll give young Midoriya a few minutes to hide before we send the next team to rescue him.
Izuku turns and walks in the opposite direction from where he had hidden before, seeing how far away he can get before the horn is sounding. He sits down to wait once he hears it. Surprisingly, it's Koda who arrives first. He gently throws him over his shoulder before turning and going back in the direction he'd come from. The position is uncomfortable for Izuku, the way he's bent pulling at the stitches in his torso. It's not long before Koda stops, and Izuku knows they're not back at the start yet.
Cover your ears, Midoriya!
Izuku complies, knowing what's coming. Jiro sends a loud sound wave their way, and Koda drops to his knees before letting go of Izuku. Jiro waltzes over and helps him up, instead of picking him up like the others had so far. She just grabs his left hand and pulls him along with her. They both duck when a beam shoots at them, and Aoyama is blocking their path. However, before he can do anything else, Izuku is grabbed from behind and tossed onto Shoji's back. He covers him with his arms and starts running, making it back to the finish line in no time.
Nice work, Shoji. You used Aoyama's attempt as a distraction quite well. You best be on your way, Midoriya.
Izuku nods and walks back in the same direction he'd come from, taking a few different turns and getting hopelessly lost. Good thing someone's coming to rescue him. It takes a bit longer for anyone to find him, likely getting confused in the maze of pipes. It's Asui who finds him, wrapping her tongue around his middle and jumping high. Sato rams into her mid-jump, and she nearly loses her grip on him. She lands on a building ungracefully, and Izuku slams into the side. Thankfully for his leg, it's his right side that hits the building, but the hit aggravates his torso, and he knows he'll have a few bruises from where his body made contact with the building. Izuku wonders what's happening, since he's just been hanging there for a few minutes. Asui's tongue jerks suddenly and starts to pull him up. When he reaches the top, he finds it's Kaminari who's pulling him. Sato and Asui are both laying on the roof, groaning in pain. "They'll be fine. I only used a little electricity." "Hey, charge bolt." "Yeah, what is—" Kaminari's eyes go blank once he answers Shinso, and his friend comes over and helps him get the rest of that tongue off of him. Shinso is just leading him to the staircase when the door slams open, and Kirishima is there, blocking the exit. "You think you could let us by?" Shinso tries to use his quirk on him, but Kirishima wisely keeps his mouth shut. Shinso lunges for him, but Kirishima simply hardens his arms and blocks the blow. They continue like that for a few minutes until Shinso wears himself out, and Kirishima shoves him to the ground. "Get on, Midoriya. He'll be back up in a second." Kirishima is crouching in front of him, facing away. Izuku sends a regretful smile to Shinso before climbing onto Kirishima's back. Kirishima starts running immediately, and they don't face anyone else on the way back to the finish line. "Nice work, young Kirishima." The boy beams as he places Izuku on the ground. Izuku decides he should speak up before All Might addresses him. "All Might, Sensei." "Yes, young Midoriya." "Do you think I could have a few extra minutes to hide? I feel like I'll need it for the last round." All Might gives him an assessing glance before nodding, gesturing for him to get going. Izuku walks as quickly as his body lets him, wincing as he goes. He has a feeling he'll be in a fair amount of pain tonight. All Might stays true to his word and still hasn't sounded the air horn. Izuku makes it to the other side of the facility before he sits down. He's glad he won't be walking back to the start line. The air horn sounds, and Izuku braces himself. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 29 of Just Trying to Survive and Learn to Love Along the Way. Chapter 30 will be up next. I would love to hear the thoughts and reactions you're having to this one so far. Please drop your comments for me. Let me know what you're thinking. For myself, I really enjoyed the fact that the author is highlighting in on Hizashi's care for Izuku. You know, I think that a lot of fics where Hisashi and Aizawa are married and together and, are adopting a kid in some way, a lot of times it focuses in more on Aizawa, and I really like that there's a good balance in this one for this fic too. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of featured Dadzawa fics too, but it's nice to have a change up every once in a while where you see Hisashi taking a strong role too. And I love the fact that the class is finding out more about Izuku's mom, that he let that slip, right? And also we're getting some more information about Izuku and Bakugo's relationship, the fact that Bakugo knew about the abuse, right? So some more tidbits are being dropped here and there. So drop those comments for me. Let me know what you're thinking. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.